All kinds of
Let's
working.
try that again.
I'm trying it again. How about this? Can you hear me?
Yes, coming through good.
Good. I got all kinds of microphones here, so should work. We have a quorum, so we'll start our meeting. The first item of business is the minutes for the previous meeting of February 13th. Those minutes were distributed to you in advance with the meeting packet. I'll entertain a motion to approve them.
I'll move them, Chairman, since I had the comments on being subject to the funding availability, and those were in there perfect. So thank you.
Okay. Yeah. And we need a second.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? They'll stand approved. Kim Jones, the pay requisition, the other item of business we have to attend to.
Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
We can, or I can.
Okay. Okay, so let's see, so the following payments were made in February. We have a payment to 100 Carlson Road LLC for $1507.60. Payment to Bond, Shonek and King PLLC for $7716.50. Payment to CNC Miraculous Cleaning Services for $750. Payment to Freed Maxic CPAs for $22.50. Payment to Lawley Construction Solutions for $7,336.13. Payment to Occasional Elegance for $16,492.14. Payment to Trinity Ventures for $14,665.24. And lastly, a payment to Watts Architecture and Engineering for $28,220, for a grand total of $78,937.61. That is it. Any questions?
Questions or comments? Couple things that's been on here that are a little bit new is the Carlson Road is the rent where we are. If you didn't, I'm sure you did. And the last two, as you know, are for the for Kim and Rick, who are the consultants working for the board. Other questions or comments? We'll take that as a motion then from the treasurer. We need a second.
Second.
So it's been moved and seconded. Further questions or comments? Seeing or hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Opposed? Good. It gets us out of the action items and into some reports with respect to progress here. The fund balance report, which we have at each meeting, Kim is going to put that up on the screen for us. And sort of walk us through it.
Okay, thank you, Chairman Richards. We have East, the balance at East is now to, $159,297, which represents the balance of the Canon payment after the settlement. The district-wide technology 2B was decreased by payments from the last pay rec. That is now down to $4,857,345. Forbes School 4 still has a balance of $20,590, unchanged from last month. The settlement from the Attorney General was reduced due to the property acquisition. That balance is now $330,638. The settlement for CPL is unchanged at $205,421. And the Canon settlement is $200,000 that will be added to the district-wide technology 2. The total of the program balance is $5,773,300. The RCSD loan, that balance is now $328,318 after those payments from last month are deducted. There are now 4 open contracts. Bonchoni King, $15,787.49. Freed Maxic, which will close after the payment on this pay rec of $2,250. Savin Engineers of $93.95, which they will submit and close that one. And the final payment to Canon Design for $159,296.97 for a total of $177,428.41 in open balances. The current pay requisition is for $7,716.50 for Bonchoni King, $2,250 for Freed Maxic, $7,336.13 for Lawley, for a total of $17,302.63. The RCSD loan is $14,665.24 to Trinity Ventures Engineering PLLC, $16,492.14 for Occasional Elegance C, $28,220 for Watts Engineering, $1,507.60 for 100 Carlson Road, and $750 for CNC Miraculous Cleaning, for the total of $61,634.98. And I should mention that the $300,000 of that loan was added to the cash capital account. So that is a total of $800,000 that has been deposited in the cash capital account. The RCSD fund balance as of today is $330,000, $648, $5,019,929 for the program bond funds, $405,421 for the settlement funds, for a total of $5,755,908 and $266,683 in the RCSD loan balance.
Okay, questions or comments? All right, thank you, Kim. We've got a couple things to report. Just one last thing here in the packet that you received. You did receive from actually prepared by Watts, the status of the strategic plan. That's the last item in your packet. We're getting close to the point where a draft of that work that's done by Watts, which is the first part of the strategic plan, is now being circulated and reviewed. So we're getting close to the point where something will happen there, and where it can be shared with the board, district board. And then they'll be able to start on that second phase that we talked about before. Obviously, we talked about it last time, that has to be some additional funding in order to pay for that second phase. We went over that at the last meeting, and Mike Schmidt is taking the lead in taking that to the Board of Education. And I believe it will go to the March meeting. Sean's nodding, so I guess that's true.
Plan.
That's the plan. And that'll give us the money to keep going with, the second part of that. The board here will get a chance to see the work that was done by Watts, and probably, I would guess, by our next meeting. Because it's pretty close to the point where they're going to release something. So it's good news. That's good news. Even better news is I don't want to bring myself any bad luck by saying this, but we have received authority to go ahead and issue the RFP for the program manager. Everybody who needs to sign off at this point has signed off. And in fact, it'll go public tomorrow. It's initially published in the Daily Record, and then in a couple of the construction Dodge Reports and some of the other construction contracting services where people pick up this kind of thing. And it'll go on our website. The RFP itself will go on the website and generally available tomorrow. Good news. Kim,
That's great news.
yeah, no kidding. Kim, maybe you could show the revised schedule that resulted from this most recent information.
Can everyone see the time frame and key dates on the screen?
Yeah,
So that shows us that, hopefully, we will have a recommendation in the middle of May to share with this board. Remember that, this selection of the project manager has to be approved by four other entities, I guess. The superintendent and the board separately, and then the mayor and city council separately. So there are 4 levels of approval there. We need to do 2 things here over the next week or so, 2 weeks, while this thing is percolating. That is, organize how we're going to internally review the proposals that we receive. Both what kind of group we'll put together to do that and how we'll do it. I say that because we need to, it would be better, it seems to me, that if we had some level of participation by all these people that need to approve this thing in the review process. Now, that can be achieved a couple of ways. It can be delegated to people who are already on the board and who work for one of these entities, or it can involve someone new to it. That's not our call. That's the call of the superintendent and the mayor. But we're going to be getting that proposal to both of them here in the next week or so. And I'm going to ask their representatives on the board. So for instance, in the city, Kim and Rich to help me with that. So when we go see the mayor, say, this is what has to happen over the next 2 months and why it's important, and make sure he, in that case, has an idea of how he wants to proceed.
okay,
And then the same thing is true with the superintendent. So that we have an understanding of how we're going to do this. And when we finish, because there's a lot of review here, and this is not going to go well if we don't get involvement as we go along. Because if people have a real problem with any of the process or any of the people that are involved in the process, we need to know that up front so that we can accommodate it as best we can. But good news, we're launched. Good news, we're launched. I want to, and one other thing to refresh your recollection on is that when we go to city council, at least, and ask for approval of the selection of the program manager, at that same time, we're going to have to make a proposal to city council about how the project is going to be financed in the interim. You know, that once the program manager gets here and all his activity starts, at that point, these, sort of won't be enough. Because it'll be there'll be time here and there'll also be amounts. So it doesn't make any sense to make that proposal to the city council, I don't think, without discussing the whole thing with them, so that they know what it is we're getting into and how we're going to do it. So we're looking into that now. I don't, Kim, were we able to tell what we got advanced last time?
I didn't find it, but I'll read that.
Okay, we'll find out. This is the way it's been done in the past, this advance from the city to fund it. And we just don't have the numbers on the top of our head right now, but we'll get that momentarily as a starting place.
okay. And Tom, I probably have that information as well.
Yeah, you probably do.
Yeah, I think I have what we actually went to council. I'm requesting. I'll have to pull up that ordinance, but I have that information.
That would be great. If you could send that to us, that would be great.
Yeah.
That's
Let
right.
me let me take a look too, because I had our folks at DES look at what was done last time for the selection. So it's been a while since I looked at it, but I have copies of the pages from council proceedings and things like that. So I think between Director Jones and I, we can put a pretty good timeline along with associated materials and deliverables together.
Yeah.
Okay, the next thing I'd like to put up there is one of the things we've been toying with here with Rick's help is sort of putting together a master schedule for the project. The purpose of doing that now is to get started on all of these functions that have to occur. And we were able to rely to, as you can imagine, to some extent on the work that was initially done with phase 2. The point of this now is not to debate the specifics of the schedule. This is the kind of thing that we're going to rely on the program manager to really put together in a tight way. But to give people some sense of what's involved and how many things have to happen and the likely time frame of those things. Particularly now that we're, like 3 months later and getting going on the project manager selection. And because there are steps in this process that we don't control. These approval processes I just described, for instance, to some extent, we're going to have to work on other people's schedule. And with respect to the bond funding, the ultimate funding for the construction, that's going to require not only the plan to be put together, which we do have some control over, but it has to be approved by the controller, and that we don't control. And to the extent that lags, it pushes off what happens. So if you took a look at, we're just going to leaf through this schedule. I'm not going to go through the detail, although we can certainly provide it, and get you all the way to the last page. Where and the other reason for doing it this way, obviously, is some of these steps are interrelated. What this is showing us is right now, if things go okay and we get going under what we anticipate to be the current schedule constraints, the first time there'd be any construction would be in July of 2024. Nothing this year. And even that, to be honest with you, is a touch optimistic because it assumes that everybody cooperates all the way through here and meets these regular timeframes and requirements. Is it possible that things could happen that are a little better than that? Yes, it is. For instance, there's some swing space in a couple of the schools, a couple of the old high schools. We might be able to do some work on that, which will facilitate the it's possible if we start at East High School where the kids don't have to be moved, we could get going a little earlier, or at least meet the schedule if other things don't go well or are delayed. What I'm trying to get across here is just how significant these delays in this process can be when they ripple through the whole schedule. And what we have to worry about as we go through it. We'll keep revising this as we go along. It'll get better. Obviously, a lot of the timeframes that are in here are just sort of educated guesses, but it gives you a sense of what we're up against here in terms of getting this thing going. The other thing that I think we need to just be sort of aware of here is that there are a couple of factors in the community that could influence the way in which we do this project. One of them is there's a lot of work actually in the community now, a lot of construction work in the community. That means there's issues with respect to the availability of contractors and labor that could influence a couple things, how quickly we get started, but it also could influence the way in which we get started. Whether we take a big project first or a smaller project first, those kinds of things could be influenced by it. The other issue that is very worrisome here is the construction inflation, which is double digit now. And this is a fixed number we've got here. It's a big number, $470 million, but it's fixed. And so to the extent that we endure, 20% construction inflation, that 20% comes out of the number and eventually affects what we can do. And that unfortunately is to be a factor at the moment. And it may influence again, not just whether, how much money we have, but the schedule by which we do things. I'm a little worried about it because obviously to the extent that the schedule keeps getting pushed back, unless we get lucky and inflation drops down, we're going to keep getting hit by it. But who knows, maybe it'll get better, and there's only so much we can do about it. But maybe if a few more banks fail, maybe they'll take care of the inflation.
Chairman, I can jump in and let you know that, it was about 12 to 13% between both buildings and transportation facilities, 21 to 22. We are starting to see that go back to normal ranges of 2 to 4% per year, and that's what's being forecasted. But your point is the most important one, which is it's already gone up. It's not going to come down. It's just the rate of growth is going to slow. And I remind people that, when West Texas Intermediate crude was $145 a barrel, airlines started charging for baggage. Well, it dropped down to $50 a barrel, and they're still charging for baggage. So the prices aren't going to go down. They're just not going to increase as fast as they did. But you're right in terms of what that cost escalation is meant for purchasing power on the 470 million and change. Now it's definitely going to reduce what we could have done pre-COVID.
Okay, I do not have any other business to put before us. But I will open the meeting to general comments or questions or suggestions. Did we get everything done that we supposed to get done here? Anybody has anything else? Okay, folks. I appreciate you hanging in there. We're launched. We're gonna actually start selecting a project manager here. So Jesse, you get the Patience Award, but beyond that.
We all get the Patience.
Yeah, maybe. Thank you very much. We'll stand adjourned.
Thanks. Take care.
Thanks, everyone.